This is Business Report Africa, brought to you by your digital-first Pan-African News Network, TOS TV. We start with the headlines. Nigeria generates 1.53 trillion VAT in 2020, grows by 29%. And KLM demands rapid antigen tests from Lagos passengers as Netherlands bans flights to UK, others. In Kenya, Kirubi buys 92 million shillings Centrum shares. Federal government says slash on import duties for tractors vehicles to start next week. The stock market, United Capital Director spends 5.39 million naira on additional 1 million shares. And over to commodities, where oil prices stay resilient amid pressure from COVID-19. Details after the break. We begin with business news, where Nigeria generates 1.53 trillion VAT in 2020, grows by 29%. Nigeria generated a total sum of 1.53 trillion revenue from value-added tax in 2020, which is up by about 29.3% when compared to 1.18 trillion recorded in 2019. This is contained in the sectorial value-added tax report recently released by the National Bureau of Statistics. According to the report, VAT revenue grew by about 29.3% compared to 1.18 trillion naira recorded in 2019 and 38.2% increase as against 1.11 trillion in 2018. And despite the economic downturn experienced by the country due to the lockdown measures put in place by the government in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and decline in global oil prices, VAT revenue increased significantly in the year. A development which is largely attributable to the increase in VAT rate from 5% to about 7.5% under the Finance Act implemented in February 2020. And now to other stories. KLM demands rapid antigen tests from Lagos passengers as Netherlands bans flights to UK, others. The airlines explained that customers who are traveling to France as their final destination now need to show a negative COVID-19 test result before boarding the aircraft, and that the test results cannot be older than 72 hours and only PCR or LAMP tests are accepted. Also, to fight against COVID-19, the Dutch government imposed flight bans to the United Kingdom, South Africa, and South America. It stated, in addition, a second COVID-19 test will be required, rapid antigen test, for all customers traveling to Netherlands, including transfer customers. No passengers will be allowed to board the aircraft without both the negative PCR test, which is supposed to be 72 hours before departure, and antigen test results about 4 hours before departure, and will be rebooked accordingly. For now, all flights to and from UK will be suspended until 27th of January 2021. Now taking you to Kenya, where Kirubi buys 92 million shillings Centrum shares. The billionaire investor Chris Kirubi has purchased an additional 5.75 million shares of Centrum Investment Company with a current market value of 92.2 million shillings, embarking on his goal of acquiring an extra 20% stake in the Nairobi Securities Exchange listed firm. The businessman announced on March 23rd last year that he would build his stake to about 49.99% from the 30% he held at the time, with the move coming after the share price fell further as the COVID-19 pandemic induced panic trades at the Nairobi bourse. Now, latest regulatory filings shows that the businessman's holding of Centrum shares has risen to 205.9 million as of December 2020, equivalent to a 30.9% stake. Now, this means that Mr. Kirubi's stake in the company, which has diverse investments ranging from real estate, private equity, and marketable securities, is now valued at 3.3 billion shillings. The businessman was not available for comment yesterday, of course, but Centrum stock traded at an average of 16.05 shillings yesterday, having shed from 43.6% over the past 12 months. The share price marks a deep discount of 76.4% compared to the firm's last reported net asset value per share of 68.1 shillings. Mr. Kirubi has previously said he would only sell his shares at a price of more than 100 shillings apiece, implying that the prevailing market price represents a major undervaluation of the firm's worth. Well, like most other stocks on the NSE, Centrum has been a victim of the prolonged bear market that got new momentum from the pandemic. While Mr. Kirubi also received a Capital Markets Authority approval to progressively raise his shareholding in Centrum through buying shares in the open market without making a mandatory takeover to other shareholders. The businessman has also said that the additional share purchases are founded on his confidence in the future prospects and long-term strategic direction of the company. While to acquire the extra 20% per stake in the company, he will have to buy more than 133 million shares with a current market value of about 2.1 billion shillings. While Mr. Kirubi has investments in many companies, including International House and Bayer East Africa, Centrum has come to represent a substantial part of his wealth. His holding in the investment firm was valued at highs of 12 billion shillings in 2015, the year when the last bull market ended. And more stories on the stock market where United Capital Director spends 5.39 million naira on additional 1 million shares. A non-executive director in United Capital PLC, Mr. Emmanuel Unorum of Vine Foods Limited, has further purchased additional 1 million units of the firm's shares worth about 5.39 million naira. Well, this is according to a notification signed by the firm's secretary, Leo Okafor, and sent to the Nigerian Stock Exchange. This disclosure reveals that the transaction took place on the 25th of January 2021, with the director purchasing an additional 1 million units of the firm's share at about 5.39 naira per share, totaling 5.390 million naira. And now to more updates from commodities where oil prices stay resilient amid pressure from COVID-19. Well, oil prices rallied at the midweek trading session after industry data showed that U.S. crude inventories dropped unexpectedly last week amid fears that the COVID-19 infection rates were getting out of control. The U.S. West Tax Intermediate rose about 0.2% to trade at $52.71 a barrel, reversing some of yesterday's loss. Brent crude oil futures rallied at about 0.2% to $56.02 a barrel. What this means is that recent data retrieved from the American Petroleum Institute showed crude oil inventories in the world's biggest consumer dropped by 5.3 million barrels in the week to January 22nd, compared with analysis expectation in a Reuters poll, of course, for a buildup of about 430,000 barrels. Now, China's National Health Commission revealed that the world's largest importer of oil recorded 124 cases on January 24th, up from about 80 earlier, which is the worst wave of new COVID-19 infections since March 2020. Well, and that's the much I can bring you today on today's edition of Business Report Africa. Thank you so much for watching. Now, do follow us on social media at TOS TV Network on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at TOS TV Network. I am Stephanie Adia, and enjoy your day.